1, 2, 3, 4.
11, 10, 9.
We've seen it 1,000 times. Grace and Leon get bitten in this game, yet they never turn into zombies. Especially right here. Where the scope basically obliterates her shoulder from existence.
2 hours later.
But for some reason, they're just fine? You think it's just main character plot armor, but the answer is actually way darker than you think. Get comfortable, because we're heading back to the ruins of Raccoon City to solving the mystery once and for all. Ouch, that had to hurt. But seriously, why isn't Grace turning? Throughout Resident Evil history, the virus is considered to be a death sentence. That's exactly how Raccoon City fell. In Resident Evil 2, the T-virus leaking to the sewers, rats spreading to the humans, and total chaos follows. So why is Grace the exception to the rule? To find out, we have to look at her backstory. Turns out she's a girl who is exactly as special as Gideon suspected. As we know, Grace, one of the children raised in the Umbrella orphanage, the same one we explore in Resident Evil 9. We learned that this orphanage was actually a front where Umbrella conducted lethal experiments on children. Now you might wonder, how could a massive corporation like Umbrella run a public-facing orphanage, take donations, and abuse children without anyone noticing? The answer is in the Resident Evil 2 remake. When playing as Sherry, we find diaries from the orphans, revealing that Umbrella faked adoption papers, constructing this narrative of kids leaving the orphanage to go and live with their happily ever after new family. When you look from outside, nothing seems to be suspicious. The whole thing is built to be looked like God-loving people sent from heavens gathered to find homes for these poor children. As Zeno mentions in this game, the children in this orphanage are clones of Grace, who is believed to be Spencer's ultimate masterpiece of genetic engineering by Zeno and Victor Gideon. They believe she's the key to cracking the Elpis code and unleashing the world's most powerful biological weapon that can literally control human minds. Do you know how beneficial this weapon could be to Zeno and the connection if it actually existed? Imagine wars like World Wars, Vietnam, Iraq, Iran never happening, all because they could make everyone do whatever they desire. But here's the kicker. The game wants you to think that the virus is a myth. In reality, the Elpis virus is fully functional and Spencer successfully tested it on Grace. The goal of Elpis was mind control, which is required a breakthrough in memory transfer. The first step in creating the Elpis virus is to transfer memory to the clone's body. As we know, clones are a staple of the Resident Evil games. But have you ever wondered how these clones are made? According to the files in Resident Evil 9, Spencer figured out how to transfer memory into a clone's body. For this to work, the host must be able to fully integrate the T-virus, surviving its toxicity while keeping the brain and memories intact. This means that the T-virus has the ability to not only keep people's memories in place, but it can also transfer these memories to another body. This explains why some zombies, like the guy who flicks the switch off, or the chef, Chunk, which I died countless times defeating, still remains fragments of their human's habits. The T-virus has the latent ability to preserve and transfer memory. One of the characters we know has done this is our beloved Albert Wesker. Albert Wesker is a result of project that Spencer, Marvin, and Ashford started. A project that eventually led to the creation of Umbrella Pharmaceuticals. Spencer and his partners dreamed of being able to improve the human race so that there would be no war and bloodshed and humans would not be so vulnerable. So they gathered 13 chosen children so that they could improve the race by transmitting the virus. From the Wesker project, we know that Albert Wesker was the most successful from them, since he eventually injected himself with the T-virus, granting him great abilities. However, we know that even the high power could not save our beloved Wesker, and he was killed in the 5th game. Now I know what you're thinking. Wesker is in this game. Zeno is Wesker.
Well, sorta kinda.
Zeno is Wesker, but not the original Wesker. Zeno is a clone of Albert Wesker. In fact, we are given several hints in this game that the Zeno is a clone of Wesker. His very name is a clue. If Zeno is Wesker, why does he call himself Zeno? What is he afraid of calling himself Albert Wesker? You might say that if Zeno is a clone of Wesker, why does he have the Raccoon City syndrome? If he was a clone, would this even happen? See, according to the cloning and memory transfer file written by Spencer discovered in this game, game, the key to solving the memory transfer is human blood. Zeno and Wesker both carry the same type of blood and DNA. Because of this, the Raccoon City syndrome was hidden in the Albert Wesker's blood, later woke up in his clone and brought him to this day. The next and the most important clue is something that Gideon says to him. You are nothing but an imitation. I don't know how you interpret this for yourself, but it's clear to me that this means that Zeno is a copy of Albert Wesker. So this means Albert Wesker is killed the 5th game, Zeno is a clone, and the first stage of preparing the Elpis virus has been successfully completed. The second stage is preparing the virus and injecting it into children, especially infants. Even this stage was done in the Wesker project. As I said, 13 children were chosen to improve the human race by transferring the virus to them. Now we see the same method years later in the Umbrella orphanage. Children who are chosen to be injected with the virus so that they can improve the human race. Of course, with a big difference. This time the children are not completely different and they are all clones of each other. Children who are only born to be tested and eventually replaceable and disposable. Now, where do these clones come from? You might say, well, Zeno himself explained that the clones were taken from Grace's blood. But are they? Here's the real twist. Is Grace even the original? Zeno says the clones came from her. But I think Capcom is trolling us. If you look at the calendar in Chloe's segment, it's the 90s. But at the end of the game, when Grace finds the hidden tapes of her mother interviewing Spencer, Grace is just a baby. Those tapes were filmed in early 2000s, after Spencer went into hiding following the Raccoon City incident. Mathematically, Chloe can be a clone of Grace, and Grace was a clone herself. But clone of who? Although the game never tells us this, I think these kids are clones of one of the children from Project W. With this theory, we can say that Grace was the only successful cloning project. Now I'll tell you why. Zeno told us that the Connection tried for years to achieve Grace's success, but they never could. Even their last test subjects, Emily and her friend, who we know turned into this scary old woman, were also not successful and failed. But why? Why can't they achieve Grace's success no matter what they do? In Grace's report, it is said that Spencer closed the orphanage after a while and stopped experiment on children. I don't think this means that he regretted his actions. It means he finally succeeded. Grace was Spencer's only successful project, a project called Elpis. Although it is said that the reason Spencer created the antivirus is not entirely clear, I think that even though Spencer was able to finally make his project successful, he was so afraid of his own project that he realized that if the world gets Elpis, the world will be destroyed much faster than the world wars. So he did something brilliant. He put the antivirus, the actual Elpis cure, inside Grace's cells. That is why she doesn't turn. Her body is a living walking cure. Every time she gets bitten, her blood neutralizes the infection instantly. Now you might wondering why, no matter what they did, Connection couldn't achieve Grace's success. I told you that one of the children in the Wesker project was the origin of the clones in Game 9. So the children of the Wesker project were injected with a virus called the Progenitor, a virus that Spencer, Marcus and Ashford believe could improve the human race. This virus was so deadly that out of 13 subjects of this project, only 2 survived. That's why the clone children are killed and no results are received from them, because they are all infected with the Progenitor virus. That means no matter what the Connection did, they still couldn't achieve Grace's success because all the children died quickly. You might say, then why wasn't Grace died? Well, as I told you, Grace was given the antivirus, the same Elpis, as a child, which is why Spencer told her she was a completely normal child. It's incredibly ironic. Gideon and Zeno spent decades and committed horrific crimes, such as planning to kill Grace's stepmother and following Grace from a distance for years, even planning the Renwood Hotel crime scene and tampering with the FBI files, just so they could get Grace to cooperate, only to eventually realize that Spencer had destroyed that virus years ago. They were chasing a ghost. As for Leon, honestly, Leon is just built different. In the actual story, he's never bitten once. Every time you get munched on during gameplay, that's just a skill issue. Leon's got that main character energy since 98. He's just that good. What do you guys think? Is Grace a walking vaccine or am I reaching? Let me know in the comments. Smash that like button and subscribe to Sam Span for more theories. Catch you in the next one.